The clock on the nightstand flickers, 3:02 a.m. The silence in the room is almost deafening, interrupted only by the soft whir of a ceiling fan and the restless shift of blankets. You turn over, again and again. Your mind races, chasing, thoughts that have no beginning and no end. Maybe it's just tonight, or maybe it was last night too. Maybe it's been like this for weeks, months, years. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Right now, millions of adults, especially those over the age of 50, are struggling to find the rest their bodies so desperately need. But it's not just a matter of age. What many don't realize is that there are 5 silent enemies that creep into the night, robbing your sleep in ways so subtle most people never connect the dots. These enemies don't knock, they don't make a sound. They just take. Tonight we're going to name them. We're going to understand how they work. And most importantly, we're going to fight back, with science, with strategy, and with insight rooted in the brain-focused approach of one of the most respected neurosurgeons in modern medicine, Dr. Ben Carson. Now, you might know Dr. Carson from his groundbreaking work separating conjoined twins or his bold views on health and longevity. But what many people don't realize is that his approach to healing the body always started with protecting the brain, and that begins with quality sleep. Let's talk about that for a moment. Sleep is not a luxury. It's not something you try to catch up on when life gets less busy. No, sleep is fundamental to survival, just like oxygen, just like water. And for those of us in the second half of life, it becomes even more critical. Sleep restores memory, strengthens immunity, regulates mood, supports heart function, and repairs the microscopic damage that builds up in our cells every day. Without it, the system starts to break down from the inside out. Take Mrs. Lopez, for example, 73 years old. Sharp as a tack, active, engaged. Loves tending to her roses in the morning sun and spoiling her grandkids with homemade muffins and too many hugs. But over the last 2 years, something changed. It started with waking up once or twice at night, then 3 times, then wide awake at 4 in the morning, her mind alert, her body heavy, her patience thin. By breakfast, she was exhausted. By lunchtime, irritable. And by early evening, too drained to even hold a conversation. Her doctor prescribed something for sleep. It worked, for a while. But the fogginess the next day was almost worse than the insomnia itself. Eventually, she stopped taking it. I guess this is just how getting older feels, she told herself. But is it? That's the myth we're going to challenge today. Because no, insomnia is not a normal part of aging. It's a symptom, a message, a clue that something deeper is interfering with the body's natural ability to rest. If you're between the ages of 35 and 70, or if you love someone who is, this conversation is for you. Because the truth is, these 5 hidden enemies don't just appear in old age. They often start creeping in decades earlier, setting the stage for poor sleep long before the first wrinkle appears. Over the next few minutes, we'll explore what these silent enemies are, how they operate, and what you can do, starting tonight, to push them back. But stay with me until the end. Because while the first 4 may sound familiar, the 5th enemy is the one that even seasoned sleep experts often overlook, and it could be the missing link between restless nights and full, refreshing sleep. So, take a deep breath. You're not broken. You're not just getting old. And you're definitely not alone. You're about to understand your sleep in a way you never have before. And by the time we're done, you'll have a clearer map to better nights and better days than you thought possible. Let's begin with the first enemy. It starts with something small. Maybe a distant dog barking. Maybe a neighbor's porch light blinking on. Or maybe nothing at all. Just a familiar jolt in your chest and the sudden awareness that you're awake. Again. The room is quiet, but inside your body it's a different story. What many people don't realize is that one of the most powerful sleep disruptors doesn't come from the outside. It's not noise. It's not caffeine. It's not even worry. It's cortisol, the body's built-in stress hormone. And when it's out of balance, your brain simply can't shut down. Let me tell you about James. He's 59. Worked in accounting his whole life. Loves jazz, grilled salmon, and tinkering in his garage. Retired last year, hoping to finally slow down. But strangely, once the job was gone, the racing thoughts didn't stop. In fact, they got louder. He'd wake at 2 or 3 in the morning, mind buzzing with old numbers. Unfinished lists, even conversations from 20 years ago. He told his wife, "It's like my brain forgot how to sleep." And that's not far from the truth. Here's what's happening. Cortisol is a natural hormone produced by your adrenal glands. It's supposed to spike in the morning to help wake you up and taper off at night so you can rest. But chronic, low-grade stress, from financial pressure, medical appointments, social isolation, or even scrolling late into the night, can trick your brain into staying in survival mode around the clock. And when that happens, your cortisol levels stay high when they should be low. The result? A brain that stays on alert long after your body is ready to rest. Think of it like a car engine idling too fast. Even if the car is parked, the engine is revving, burning fuel, overheating. That's what your nervous system is doing when cortisol doesn't dial down. Here are a few signs your cortisol might be keeping you up. You feel tired but wired at bedtime. You wake up in the middle of the night, heart slightly racing. Your mind replays old memories or future worries, uninvited. You get sleepy during the day, but can't stay asleep at night. Dr. Ben Carson often emphasized the link between emotional peace and physical healing. From brain tumors to burnout, he observed firsthand how stress sabotages the body's most basic processes, especially sleep. In his own words, a calm brain is a healing brain, and that calm must be cultivated intentionally. So how do you calm cortisol? Tonight, try what I call the Better Tonight Blueprint. An hour before bed, dim your lights, turn off any screen, TV, phone, tablet. Light a candle if you like. Sit down, close your eyes, and breathe deeply for just 4 minutes. In through your nose for 4 seconds, out through your mouth for 6. This simple practice signals to your brain that the day is done and survival mode can switch off. Then, write down everything on your mind. Not a journal entry, just a list. What's worrying you? What's unfinished? What you want to remember tomorrow? Putting it on paper tells your brain, I've stored this. You can rest now. If you take medication that affects adrenal function or anxiety, talk to your doctor. Sometimes the best solutions are hidden in the fine print of a prescription bottle. And before we move on, I want you to know, just identifying stress as a physical enemy, not just an emotional one, gives you back power. You're not failing to cope. Your chemistry just needs a reset. But stress isn't the only intruder in your night, because for millions of adults over 50, the next enemy is far more disruptive and far more awkward to talk about. It's 2:37 a.m. The hallway is cold. The light in the bathroom is harsh. You squint, shuffle, flush, wash your hands in slow motion, and then crawl back into bed, hoping your body remembers how to fall asleep. If this routine feels familiar, you're far from alone. Nocturia, the medical term for waking up at night to urinate, is one of the most common causes of fragmented sleep in older adults. And while most people shrug it off as just part of aging, the truth is, it doesn't have to be. Let's take a look at why it happens and how to stop it from stealing your rest. Picture Eleanor, 66, a retired elementary school teacher, with a warm laugh and a cat named Oscar. For years, she slept through the night without a second thought. But sometime after 60, she noticed the interruptions. Once a night, then twice. And before long, it was 3 times. Each wake-up breaking. Her rest into tiny, disconnected pieces. She tried drinking less water. She stopped having tea after dinner. Still, her bladder would call like clockwork. Here's the science. As we age, our bodies produce less vasopressin, a hormone that helps the kidneys concentrate urine during the night. Less vasopressin means the bladder fills faster, and you feel the urge to empty it, even if the amount of urine is small. Add to that an overactive bladder, an enlarged prostate in men, certain medications, and you've got the perfect storm for poor sleep. The challenge isn't just the bathroom trip, it's the disruption to the sleep cycle. Each time you wake, your brain is yanked out of the deeper healing stages of sleep. And getting back into those deeper stages, that can take 30 minutes or more, even if you fall asleep quickly. Over time, this leads to daytime fatigue, mood changes, memory issues, and a weakened immune system. Ask yourself, are you waking more than once per night to urinate? Do you feel fully awake after using the bathroom? Is it harder to fall back asleep afterward than it used to be? Have your daytime naps increased? Dr. Ben Carson understood how something as simple as a disrupted night could compound into serious health concerns over time. When the brain doesn't rest, the body can't repair. And if the interruption is physiological, like nocturia, it requires more than willpower. It needs strategy. Here's what you can do, starting tonight. First, adjust your fluid intake window. Stop drinking large amounts of liquid about 2 to 3 hours before bed. You don't need to cut water completely, just shift it earlier in the day. Next, if you're taking medications like diuretics, often prescribed for blood pressure, ask your doctor if they can be taken earlier, morning instead of evening. Also, consider what's irritating your bladder.
Caffeine, alcohol, artificial sweeteners, and even acidic foods like tomatoes or citrus can worsen urgency. Try limiting these for 1 week and track the difference. And here's one unexpected tip. Elevate your legs for 20 minutes before
bed. This helps move fluid trapped in your lower body back into circulation, so your kidneys can filter it before you lie down, not while you're sleeping. Lastly, if you suspect a deeper issue, like prostate changes, overactive bladder, or urinary tract irritation, don't wait. Speak with your physician. These aren't just sleep issues. They're signals from your body. Now, I know we're only 2 enemies in, but if you're finding this helpful, I want to take a moment to invite you to subscribe to this channel. This space is dedicated to helping you not only understand your health, but take it back with science, compassion, and practical wisdom you can actually use. So if you're ready to keep learning, hit that button and let's keep going. Because the third silent enemy, it's hiding in your medicine cabinet, and it might be the most underestimated one of all. You've brushed your teeth, turned off the light, fluffed your pillow, maybe even said a prayer. But as you lie there, eyes closed, waiting for sleep to come, something doesn't feel right. Again, the hours pass. You're exhausted, but your body won't settle. Now, imagine this. The very medication meant to help you live longer, move easier, or feel better might be the exact thing robbing your ability to rest. This is where things get tricky. Because most people over the age of 55 are taking at least 2, sometimes 5 or even 10 medications, each with its own purpose and each with potential side effects. The problem? Those side effects don't always show up as pain or nausea. Sometimes they show up as insomnia. Take Margaret, for example. She's 72, kind-hearted, still volunteers at the library every Thursday, takes pride in keeping her mind sharp. After a knee replacement, her doctor prescribed pain relievers, followed by a statin for cholesterol, then a mild antidepressant for the blues that followed surgery recovery. Within a few weeks, her nights started to unravel. Tossing, turning, dreams that left her sweaty and tense. Her doctor told her to give it time, but something felt off. And she was right. Several of her medications, though effective in their primary role, had hidden effects on her sleep cycle, especially when taken together. Here's what we often overlook. Many common medications, even those considered safe, can interfere with your brain's natural rhythm. Some reduce the production of melatonin, the hormone that regulates your sleep-wake cycle. Others stimulate the nervous system when they should be calming it. And others, like corticosteroids, some blood pressure meds, asthma inhalers, and certain antidepressants, can cause restlessness, vivid dreams, or nighttime wakefulness as a side effect. Even medications that help with anxiety or sleep can backfire. For example, benzodiazepines, often prescribed for panic or insomnia, might help. You fall asleep quickly, but they suppress the deepest, most restorative stages of sleep. So you wake up feeling unrefreshed, even if you slept for 7 or 8 hours. It's like eating fast food when you're starving. It fills you up, but leaves your body lacking what it truly needs. Now the good news, this doesn't mean you need to stop your medications. Not at all. But it does mean it's time to take a closer look, with your doctor's help, at how your prescriptions interact with each other and with your natural rhythms. Here's how to start. First, make a list of everything you take: prescription, over-the-counter, even herbal supplements. Include dosage and the time of day you take each one. Then, sit down with your primary care provider or a trusted pharmacist. Ask them 2 questions. Could any of these be affecting my sleep? Is there a better time of day to take them to avoid disruption? You'd be surprised how often a simple shift from evening to morning or even splitting a dose can make a huge difference. Also, if you've been on the same medication for years, ask if your dosage still fits your current age and lifestyle. What worked well at 50 may not serve you the same way at 70. Remember, Dr. Ben Carson, both as a surgeon and as a man of faith, believed deeply in knowing your body and being an advocate for it. He once said, "Knowledge is the key that unlocks the doors to freedom." And that freedom includes the right to sleep, deeply and peacefully. There's one more thing. Never adjust your medication alone. Always speak with your doctor. But do trust your instincts. If you've felt more tired, more wired, or more anxious at night since starting a new prescription, it's worth investigating. Because sometimes the greatest thief isn't a condition, it's a cure misaligned with your system. But while medications can mess with your chemistry, there's another, even more underestimated enemy that creeps into the bedrooms of millions of older adults. One that most people ignore until it becomes impossible to live with. And it all starts with a sound. You're lying still, eyes closed, mouth slightly open. Everything looks peaceful from the outside, but inside your body, chaos is unfolding every few minutes, because somewhere in your airway, something collapses. And for 10, 15, even 30 seconds, you stop breathing. Then suddenly, gasp! Your body jolts awake just enough to breathe. Again, without ever fully waking your mind. This is sleep apnea, and it's far more common than most people think, especially in people over the age of 60. And what makes it so dangerous is not just the lack of air. It's the constant, silent assault on your brain and heart every single night. Let's talk about Harold. He's 64, former construction worker, strong as an ox, used to running, on 4 hours of sleep. His wife Janet started noticing something strange. He would snore loudly, then go quiet, for too long, then suddenly gasp, turn, groan. She thought it was just age catching up with him. Until one morning, Harold nearly fell asleep while driving to church. That's when they knew it wasn't just bad sleep. It was something deeper. Here's the reality. Sleep apnea happens when the muscles in the back of your throat relax too, much during sleep, blocking your airway. Your brain senses the drop in oxygen and briefly wakes you up, just enough to resume breathing. This can happen dozens, even hundreds of times a night. The problem? You often don't remember any of it. But your body does. That interrupted oxygen flow leads to higher blood pressure, irregular heartbeat, memory loss, weight gain, and extreme fatigue. Worse, over time, untreated sleep apnea raises the risk of stroke, heart disease, and cognitive decline. Snoring is often the red flag, but not the only one. You should pay attention if you wake up with dry mouth or headaches, you feel unrefreshed even after a full night's sleep. You're dozing off during the day, especially while reading. Or watching TV. You've been told you stop breathing, or gasp at night. Now, here's where many people get stuck. They think treatment means wearing a loud, clunky CPAP machine. And while CPAP is still the gold standard and much quieter than it used to be, it's not the only solution. There are newer options now, from oral appliances, like mouthguards, that adjust your jaw, to positional therapy, which simply changes how you sleep, and even light surgeries for certain cases. The first step is a sleep study. This can be done at a clinic, or in many places now, right from your home using portable devices. The test measures your oxygen levels, breathing patterns, and interruptions, giving a full picture of your night. And don't worry, getting a diagnosis doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're informed. It means your body has been fighting for oxygen, and now, finally, you can give it back what it's been begging for. Dr. Carson once said, "You have the ability to choose what you allow into your life. Choosing to breathe better while you sleep. That's one of the most powerful changes you can make. Because sleep doesn't just rest your body, it cleans your brain, it resets your mood, it rebuilds your strength. And when breathing becomes easy again, sleep becomes healing again." Now, believe it or not, there's still one final silent enemy left, and it's hiding in plain sight, on your nightstand, in your habits, and even in your favorite late-night routines. It's not biological. It's not hormonal. It's behavioral. And it's often the last domino that keeps falling, night after night, without us realizing the damage it's doing. Let's talk about the final piece of this puzzle. Before we shine a light, quite literally, on our final enemy, let's bust two stubborn myths that keep circling family dinners and doctors' waiting rooms. First, the nightcap myth, that a little splash of whiskey or a small glass of wine knocks you right out. Yes, alcohol can make you drowsy faster, but it slices deep sleep stages to ribbons, leaving you to wander the lighter levels of rest where your brain never fully repairs. Second, the shrug of resignation. Older people just don't need as much sleep. False. Your body does not lose the need for cellular repair at 60 or 70. If anything, it needs that maintenance even more. Both myths are convenient excuses, and convenient excuses breed silent enemies. Which brings us to the last thief in the lineup. It is everywhere, hiding in plain sight, perched on your nightstand, bright, blue, and buzzing with updates. Late night. Stimulation, especially blue light from phones, tablets, and televisions, is the burglar that slips in after you have locked every other door. Blue wavelengths are powerful during the day because they boost attention, reaction time, and mood. At night, though, they flip the wrong switch in your brain, telling your pineal gland to shut down melatonin production. Imagine asking a theater crew to dim the house lights, only to have them blast a spotlight straight onto the stage. Your brain never gets the cue that the show is over. Louisa, 54, learned this the hard way. Each night she curled up with her tablet to wind down, scrolling social feeds, reading the news, hunting recipes. Midnight would peek through the blinds before she even noticed, and by 2 a.m. her eyes burned, but her mind raced. She blamed hormones, caffeine, even her mattress, until a simple experiment saved her. 3 nights with a hard screen-off rule, 1 hour before bed. The very first night she fell asleep in 15 minutes. By the third, she slept straight through. Blue. Light is the obvious culprit, but stimulation is the partner in crime. Even if you install warm filters, the never-ending scroll of headlines, messages, and autoplay videos jerks your nervous system from calm to alert, again and again. Your pulse quickens, cortisol flickers, and the gentle descent into rest is yanked. Upward like a roller coaster that will not stop climbing. Here's your plan for tonight. 1 hour before bedtime, power everything down. Phone, laptop, television, even that e-reader with backlighting. Pick up a paper book, dim the bulbs to their lowest setting, or switch to warm lamplight. If you absolutely must use a device, slip on amber glasses that block blue wavelengths. They are inexpensive, and they work. Finally, set your alarm and place the phone in another room. The distance breaks the habit loop of just one more glance, and the freedom that follows borders on miraculous. Dr. Carson often compared the brain to a magnificent library, one that reshelves memories and repairs its own staircases each night. But try organizing a library in the dark, while a strobe light flashes every few seconds. That is what blue light does to your sleeping brain. Turn the strobe off, and the librarians finally get to work. 5 silent enemies named, 5 doors, now closed, which means it is time to gather the keys into one hand and walk you through the way out. Picture the hours between sunset and sunrise as a shoreline. Each wave has to roll in and roll out in smooth succession for the sand to settle flat. Miss one rhythm, and the whole shoreline churns. Here is how you return your waves to order, without apps, gimmicks, or expensive gadgets. 3 hours before bed, finish your last full glass of water and your final cup of anything caffeinated. 2 hours before bed, close the kitchen. Let digestion wind down so blood can move from stomach to brain. 1 hour before bed, lights dim, screens off, legs elevated on the couch cushion while you leaf through a newspaper, a crossword, or a photo. Album that sparks gratitude instead of adrenaline. When the clock says 10, slip beneath the covers, breathe 4 seconds in, 6 seconds out, 4 times. Mentally list 3 wins from the day, no matter how small. Folded laundry, a call to a friend, a moment of laughter. Gratitude tucks stress back into its drawer. Feel your heartbeat slow. That is cortisol bowing out. If your bladder wakes you, once let it, but walk the hallway with eyes half closed, light low, mind silent. If it wakes you twice, speak to your clinician about vasopressin levels and fluid timing. If your partner says you snore or gasp, order a home sleep study kit. If medication side effects linger, schedule that pharmacist review we talked about. Bring the handwritten list. Layer these pieces together, and within 1 week, most people feel the first sunrise of real rest. Within 1 month, they start forgetting the last time they dreaded nighttime. Within 3 months, blood pressure eases, mood lifts, and memory surprises you with names you have not recalled in years. This is not wishful thinking. It is biology, honored and protected. Remember Mrs. Lopez, who once watched dawn with weary eyes. Now, when dawn arrives, she is already out among the roses, pruning slips of crimson and coral while dew still clings to the petals. James dusts, off jazz records again, toe-tapping through melodies he nearly forgot. Margaret volunteers for the evening literacy program because mornings no longer fog her vision. Harold drives to church wide awake, humming with the windows down, breeze cool against his face. And Louisa? Louisa gifts her old tablet to her niece and keeps a stack of mystery novels where the glow once lived. Their victories are not exceptions. They are signposts, pointing toward a landscape where sleep is plentiful, memory is clear, and mornings feel like an invitation instead of a test. So ask yourself, what would you do with an extra 2 hours of energy every day? Where would you go? Whom would you bless? Picture it now, because that tomorrow starts tonight, the moment you choose to put these keys into practice. Tonight, when your head meets the pillow and darkness settles like a comforting quilt, remember, deep sleep is not a luxury you have to earn. It is a right you were born with, a nightly gift waiting behind 5 closed doors. You have the keys now. Breathe in, breathe out. Let the quiet claim you. Good night.